Good morning, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm brought to you by Hope Through Navigation, and this is our Hood Recovery Services. You can reach me at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. I am looking forward to doing the Just for Today in a meditation for August the 16th with you. Let's go ahead and get into that meditation. All right, Just for Today, August 16th, up or down. This is our road to spiritual growth. We change every day. This growth is not the result of wishing, but of action and prayer. Basic text, page 37. Okay, our spiritual condition is never static. If it's not growing, it's decaying. If we stand still, our spiritual progress will lose its upward momentum. Gradually, our growth will slow, then halt, then reverse itself. Our tolerance will wear thin. Our willingness to serve others will wane. Our minds will narrow and close. Before long, we'll be right back where we started, in conflict with everyone and everything around us, unable to bear even ourselves. Our only option is to actively participate in our program of spiritual growth. We pray, seeking knowledge greater than our own from a power greater than ourselves. We open our minds and keep them open, becoming teachable and taking advantage of what others have to share with us. We demonstrate our willingness to try new ideals and new ways of doing things, experiencing life in a whole new way. Our spiritual progress picks up speed and momentum. Driven by the higher power, we are coming to understand better each day. Up or down is one or the other, very little in between, where spiritual growth is concerned. Recovery is not fueled by wishing and dreaming. We discovered, but by prayer and action. Let me repeat that. Recovery is not fueled by wishing and dreaming. We've discovered, but by prayer and action. Just for today, the only constant in my spiritual condition is change. I cannot rely on yesterday's program. Today, I seek new spiritual growth through prayer and action. What a beautiful meditation. I apologize for the background noise right now. I'm outside in what we would call the hood, and I kind of feel like laughing, because I'm sitting here taping, and my mind is so wrapped up into getting the podcast done. A gentleman was walking down the street, clearly trying to either get to the bus or, get to work, but he's not cognizant that I'm busy. And so he's yelling at me from the sidewalk, and I can't tell what he's yelling at me about because I have the headphones on. And so I put you guys on mute, and I said, I'm taping. And he looks at me and he repeats what he said. And I said, what you say? And I take the earphones out after I mute it. And he says, can you tell me what time it is, ma'am? And my heart just softened. And I told the gentleman what time it was. And my most immediate thought was, isn't that how it is in life? Like, we are so wrapped up into what we are doing that we can't take a second. It's hard for us to take a second to show common courtesy to our fellow man. And I just had to giggle at myself because really, is it all that serious? There's been so many mornings that I've taped the podcast and had to do a redo. One morning I did 3 of them on the same meditation because of technical difficulty. Really, the technical difficulty the first time was definitely tough technical difficulty. The second time, it was just human error. I could not get a word out properly to save my life. I couldn't read properly. I guess I was going at it too early. Hadn't got my focus. It was a rough night. And before I knew it, I had taped 3 times. And I'm just thinking to myself, if the world was a place where people would actually take out time to be kind to individuals. And I'm not talking about going over and above and beyond in the extra mile and, making a TikTok video of yourself helping someone homeless. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about what I experienced. Just a moment. He's just trying to get to the bus and probably trying to get to work on time, keep his job. And it's just amazing to me. What did I learn from that? I learned that we're spiritual when we want to be. And there's no excuse not to be. We're spiritual when we want to be. We apply spiritual principles when we want to. That's why the 12th step can say we apply these spiritual principles in all our affairs. It's not complicated. It either becomes who you are, or you're still trying to put on the coat of spirituality. And sometimes when we're in a rush or we think we're, on to something and we're into something, busy with something, we decide how much of spirituality of that we want to put on. Long as it doesn't inconvenience us, then we can be spiritual. And that contradiction right in that moment, I found it hilarious, because isn't that how life is? Now, I'm not going to beat myself up about it all day long. Believe me, I have to keep it moving. I'm not going to beat myself up all day long, but I just want to make sure that I share with you that even in the difficulties, because I'm here at my family's homestead again. I've been, just trying to recover from this surgery, and it hasn't been easy going. But I get the call, and even though we were expecting to lose our loved one, we thought we had a little bit more time. But unfortunately, yesterday, we lost our loved one. And so I've been with my family since yesterday, just trying to make the preparations for how do we move forward with the loss, contacting other loved ones and letting them know and letting them have a moment to grieve with you, but not too long. You don't want to let them grieve with you too long, right? Here we go again with the spirituality, because you're yourself grieving, right? I really don't have time to stay on the phone with you 15 minutes while you process this and talk about how you wish you had seen them. Now, I have energy for that because we've been on it, right? We've been going through this for a minute, and you've had at least 10 days, I know, to travel from wherever you are to get to be here. But sometimes we make a choice and we choose wrong. So it's been a rough morning. It's been a rough morning. And so, I'm not saying that to give myself leeway for what just happened, but I am saying that even in the point that I'm making is even in the difficulty, I'm very much aware that I choose to be spiritual when I want to. And anytime, every time, all the time is a good time to use our spiritual principles. And that's what this is talking about. That's what this meditation is about. It's talking about our spiritual growth and the road to it. It changes every day. That awareness that I just had is a part of my future spiritual being, right? I am cognizant that when my mind is preoccupied and I'm on task, I'm less tolerant. And I'm sure that you have the same experience. I'm sure that you can relate to that. And that's what you need to look at, right? Is you need to look at your own experience and figure out what changes, what things you need to tweak just a little bit more so that you are able to be a spiritual being more of the time. Will you be able to do it all of the time? Absolutely not. I failed right in that moment, right? I could have done better right in that moment, right? So that doesn't negate that I'm a spiritual being. It just means that that experience, either I'm going to interpret it and inculcate it into my being and use it for future relationships, future situations, or I'm going to ignore it. And they told me that if you don't get the lesson, you're doomed to repeat it. Right. And so I can't swear that I'll get it right every time, but I am very much aware of how intolerant I was of that gentleman in that moment for the sake of trying to do a podcast that I know goodness well I have done repeatedly on some mornings with no problem. You know why? Because I'm more tolerant of my error than I am of another person's. Right? And so you have to look at that. You have to look at your own spiritual progress because spiritual condition is never static. If it's not growing, it's decaying. Right? When you are not nurturing yourself to grow in some form or fashion, you are allowing complacency to sit. You might think, oh, I'm not really doing it. I'm just sitting in this right now. Okay, well, you have a greater potential to decay spiritually than you have to grow if you're not vigilant about your spirituality. I'm not talking about, I'm trying to think of some of these big preachers on TV. I'm not talking about spiritual and that. I'm not talking about religiosity. No. So if that's, I feel like I need to say that because some of you are equating your spirituality with going to church or going to the mosque or how many times you meditated. I'm not talking about, and meditation is good though, right? I love it. I'm not talking about religiosity. I'm talking about your spirituality and how much of a spiritual being are you becoming? Are you the light in the world that you stand? You should be a part of the light and not a part of the dark. We become productive members of society because we change how we deal with things. We change our perspective. We stop using chemicals to adjust our perception and create an illusion of reality. And we start to learn how to accept reality and adjust to that reality. And that's what we want. We want to make sure that we are spiritually growing and that we are willing to do the praying and the action that goes with it. It's difficult to pray and not add action to it, right? You can't just pray about something and ask, but do nothing. You make the changes that you personally can make. And then after those changes have been made, you will be able to see the movement of the God of your own understanding acting on your behalf. See, what you can do, you need to do. What your higher power knows that you can do, your higher power expects for you to do. And that can change based on situation to situation. Like right now, I know my higher power has a expectation for me to be loving and kind, tolerant of other people's religion and spiritual ideals. I know that my higher power has that for me, but I also know my higher power knows my physical condition is not great. And so that's where I'm going to find my grace, right? And so today I want you to do that. I want you to be thinking about whether or not your spiritual program, your spiritual growth is going up or down. If you're having a low day, then do like we discussed before. Give yourself 3 things today that you're going to do. For some people, it may be that you're going to take a shower. You are going to comb your hair You're going to pay attention to your hygiene today. I mean, you've been on a low for, so many days in a row. You really haven't paid attention to your appearance, right? Taking care of your body. Maybe one of the three things today for you is going to be, I am going to have myself a proper bath or a proper shower. I'm going to put on some fresh clothes. And I'm going to make an in-person meeting tonight or today. And then the third thing might be, I'm going to pick up some things to make a salad and eat healthy today. Today, I'm not going to eat any fried food. How about that? See, we have to really, really, really change the bar, because sometimes we're listening to Mighty Stream on here and we're like, oh my goodness, she worried about how she cut a man off walking past her, and we think, oh my goodness, I wouldn't have been worried. I probably would have cussed him out, right? No, your bar don't have to be my bar. Your bar has to be the bar that furthers you along in your spiritual journey. And it will change. It definitely is going to change every day. And if you learn the spiritual principle of grace, you are going to allow yourself to have some grace. And that doesn't mean that you're going to give yourself passes when you don't really need them. But you're going to learn how, if you hang out with me, you are going to learn how to love yourself, right? In a positive, healthy way. So that when you're engaging other people, you're not so angry and bitter and ready to cut people off and intolerant, not willing to do any service for other people. Everything is about you. You're going to have the spiritual foundation from within that affords you the ability to go outwardly and be of a blessing, of service, goodwill to humanity. My name is Mighty Stream, and I have enjoyed talking to you today. I will be talking to you tomorrow.